Hey everyone, Bama, how's it going, Bama? Hope everyone's had a good start to their week. Um, for those who don't know, if you're familiar with the traveling buddy, um, he passed away this week. So if you could please keep his family in your prayers. Uh, Wonderful YouTuber and a cool guy, real cool guy. Um, he's going to be missed for sure. He was a fun guy to have in everyone's chat and did great videos and just wonderful, wonderful guy. So Bama says it's going. Um, so we got the podcast now. My sister's in here. She's going to talk here in just a minute and get things going. Hey, Mom. And we'll get this podcast going. What are you going to be talking about tonight? You want to tell them a little bit about what's going
on? I came across a story in Philadelphia because I'm always listening to history stories, ghost stories, whatever I can get a hold of. If it combines both, then I'm a happy girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I came across a story about if the tide is low enough in Philadelphia under the Betsy Ross Bridge, you can see tombstones. So I got intrigued and started to research that and why there are tombstones in the river. My initial thought, it's probably, a cemetery that got, either washed away or, moved or, progress, of course. That happens a lot in like New Orleans and stuff like that. So I decided to research that and maybe some hauntings behind it. Of course, there are. And just a couple little tidbits from Philadelphia. I'm not sure. A lot of people are familiar with Fort Mifflin. It's supposedly extremely haunted by several people. So I got a couple of stories from that. So I don't know if you want me to go ahead and do that, or do you want to wait a couple minutes for some more people to get in here?
A couple more minutes to get some more people in, and we'll get going here in a second. So I've not filmed yet this week. Don't know if I will. Probably have to wait till next week, but I did get a video up yesterday. If nobody's seen it yet, it's the Abraham Lincoln's bodyguard, where he is buried at Riverside. Kind of a cool investigation, but I got to go back. I want to try to take the ghost tube box and use it next time. See if we can get something out of that, maybe. I don't know. I hope. That'd be good. And I want to try it at Helen's Bridge, too, so I may try to make that a day and do both in one day and do that. That'd be cool.
Oh, I was thinking about you. You research or do investigations a lot in the River Arts District around the silos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just so happen to think one of our ancestors died very near there. On Mom's side.
Okay.
It was the one that got hit in the back of the head with a Coke bottle.
Oh yeah.
After he was gambling on the side of the street, and the guy accused him of cheating, and he drove a Coke truck, bottle truck. I'm not sure if it was Coke, but it was like the old fashioned like Coke bottles. They're really thick, super thick.
Yeah, they kill you.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah, and
it caused bleeding to his brain, and he died right around the house. It was right there around the hatchery, where the hatchery thing's at.
That's not far from where I usually film. I'm gonna check that out real good.
But I'll get all the information for you, names and stuff.
Got English old visual show and breaking.
Hi, Bama. I forgot to say hi, Bama. Hi, Mom.
So, yeah, if you want to go ahead and get started then.
Okay.
Get your thing going. We'll get going, guys.
I got my Ghost 2 app on, just in case Robert wants to speak to me.
There you go.
Because Robert's my favorite. Shh. I like his little sailor outfit. Go Navy. Go Navy. Anyway, so like I said, I've been researching Philadelphia one of my bucket places to go because I want to see where they signed the Declaration of Independence. So just a little backstory on Pennsylvania. Some people know the founder and stuff like that, but his name was William Penn, hence Pennsylvania. And he got the charter to start a place from the king because the king owed his dad some money. So instead of making him pay that extra money, he asked for a charter to come to the new world to start anew. It was during people were escaping England for religious persecutions and stuff like that. So William Penn decided that everybody should be able to do religion however they felt they needed to do it. So Philadelphia is a little unique where since he had that, there's not massive cemeteries like one cemetery. You'll see cemeteries where it's just hundreds of people in other big cities. Well, because he allowed people to practice their religion however they wanted, there's over 200 different cemeteries. Some are still around, some are lost, some were Pauper Cemetery, which were, cemeteries that people could not afford to have the burial and things like that. So there's over 200. There's a lot.
Wow.
So one of those cemeteries.
And the word I got right now is religion. A region. I'm sorry. I thought it said religion. Looked at it wrong. But anyway, the region that you're in, you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well. William Penn was the largest landowner in the New World at one point because he owned all this land. But then you got the Revolutionary War, so lots of people died there. You've got Civil War. You've got the yellow fever outbreak in Philadelphia at one point, which killed many, many people. It said, I think when I was reading, it said one of the worst outbreaks around that time. And so Monument Cemetery is the one that I came across. It was constructed in 1837, and it was a little bit unique because at that time people were building cemeteries, especially in Europe. They were like garden cemeteries. They were more like a park than it was a cemetery. So sort of like Riverside, where you can walk. And they were really popular at that time. So it was meant for you to be able to take a stroll with your significant other or family or something and just walk around the cemetery. But they would have like, a garden at some point, fountain and things like that. It's called Monument Cemetery because there was a monument to George Washington. Yay! And he's my favorite president. George Washington and the Marquis de Lafayette. And so, I mean, it was like a replica of the Washington Monument. So it was like the obelisk type style.
Bama said Pauper Cemeteries. Was that part of, I guess, maybe what he was wondering?
Pauper Cemeteries is Pauper. Pauper Cemeteries are cemeteries that are usually handled by the county or the state. And they are for people who were homeless in homes, like orphans or people who were maybe in prison and they could not afford their own burial or their family could not afford the burial. We have one not too far from us.
There's a lot around here.
There's more than you'd think. There's more than you'd think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But most of the time they have field stones. Field stones are just, a flat stone or some type of stone that the family has gathered or they have gathered and it marks the grave. So it's basically a poor cemetery.
Right.
But Pauper, Pauper, it was
synonymous.
It was
poplar. I have an L in it. That's what I always thought. I think I always mispronounced it, but yeah, that's.
I always thought it was Pauper, like Popper.
Oh.
Like Pauper. But when once reading Pauper, and stuff, it's Pauper. It's synonymous with being unable to pay and poor and stuff like that. Right. So there's plenty of those around. But anyway, Monument Cemetery was constructed in 1837. It's about 20 acres, which is quite significant for a cemetery. 28,000 people were buried in there. Well, of course, progress came, and they decided that they were going to move the cemetery. The cemetery sits right next to what is called Temple University.
Oh, okay.
And they decided they needed to expand because, more people were going to college. They needed more room. They were doing more things in the college and stuff like that. So they decided that they needed to put the athletic field where the cemetery was at. So there's something that they can brag about. But they did contact everyone that they could, that they knew who had living relatives of the people buried in that cemetery. 8,000 replied. That was it.
Wow.
Some had the stones moved with the people. Some did not, had new stones erected wherever they were moved back to where the family was at. So they left 20,000 people.
Wow. With
basically no family to claim them or anything like that. So they moved them to another cemetery. I believe that cemetery is called Laurel Hill Cemetery, that's another cemetery for another time. There's too many things that happens in that cemetery. But it was basically a mass grave that they put into Laurel Hill Cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And the stones that were not moved, because it's cement, it's sometimes different stones are used, they're heavy. Well, they decided that it could be used as construction. So along with the monument to George Washington and Marquis de Lafayette, don't get me started on them breaking down that monument, they used it for a water break in the river right underneath the Betsy Ross Bridge. So they said, I read an account of a construction worker. This was done in the 1950s, about mid 1950s. The construction worker said that they would bring truckloads, like the dump truck type. They would bring truckloads of the dirt to the construction site or where they were building the bridge, and there would still be bones in the dirt, along with the stones and everything. So they didn't get all the bones. They said a lot of people said a little prayers, a few prayers for that, but so they used it basically as, kind of just holding back the water, a water break. If it floods too much or if it kind of like splashes against the waves and stuff. So it's used for that. So there's been since then, they had bits of broken caskets in there too. They used that. So all of that's under the bridge. And if you go across the bridge, or there's walking trails around there, I've seen pictures of it. But if you look up Betsy Ross Bridge stones on Google, you'll see plenty of pictures.
Oh Lord. Hey Christina. Yeah, Bam, you got nosebleed and I got blood a while ago. And it said flashlights. We got the one light on in here, but it's not flashed so far. So the flashlight's not doing anything. But maybe, you never know.
But I have my ghost tool on too. So
yeah, so we got some stuff going. Yeah. Hopefully, might get a little activity. We'll see.
But so all of that's under the Betsy Ross Bridge. So there's plenty of pictures. Even now you can see it. And they're really nice stones. They were hand carved and, very intricate designs on some of them. But the monument, they had a picture of the monument online. It was beautiful. And it had 62 stones for how old the Marquis de Lafayette was, or something like that. It was very significant design and everything like that. But so now it's an academic field. Well, when I came across, I was trying to look up maybe some stories about hauntings or something like that, and I came across a couple. Well, they were married. Let's see, their names were Russell and Sarah Conwell. So Russell and Sarah. Russell Conwell actually founded Temple University. And he lived on the property of Temple University, very close to where the cemetery was.
Oh, wow.
Well, when he died, well, actually, his wife died first.
Mm-hmm.
And he claimed that his wife died. She died in 1910, which was uh, about 30 years after. Well, let's see, 1910. So about 60, 70 years after the cemetery was constructed. So she died. She was buried in Monument Cemetery, of course. Well, he said that his wife would visit him, and back then it was either you believed in the paranormal or you didn't. So if you believed it, you were very passionate. If you didn't, you were very skeptical. It was two sides of the spectrum. But so he decided to test her. He goes, okay, if you're my wife, I've lost some of my military papers. Tell me where they're at. And so she said, okay, they're in a box in this closet. It looks like this. It's got this type of lock on it and stuff. So he went to that closet, and there was a box. It was a box that she had used. So he didn't think to go through that stuff. But he found all his military papers, so he believed that was her.
Wow, yeah.
And then he died in 1925, buried next to his wife. And they were moved after the cemetery was, since they were still thought of very important. So they founded the Temple University.
Right.
And so they moved the bodies. I think they moved them to the same Laurel Hill as the mass grave, but they do still have individual graves. They moved the stones with them and stuff. But there has been seen several accounts of a man that fits the Russell Conwell's description, just wandering around looking, and they suspect he's looking for his old burial place. I think it was maybe about, from what I read, just a few miles, maybe 3 or 4, at most 5 miles from the old cemetery. So there's still sightings. But no one ever sees her, just him. So I guess she finished her business telling him where his military papers were and passed over. But
have you had experiences like that, Bama, with spirits telling you things? That's kind of cool that spirits can do that. Or,
I don't know if it was a spirit, but Mama had dreams like that. Yeah. That's why we've got that picture of great grandpa.
That's right.
But of course you get pictured, Mom. Why wouldn't you get pictured?
That's right.
Of course. But I'm glad you're putting in mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them both in there. As
I can
see
move
the
them
words
over.
that
move it over.
As I see the words, I'm just putting them in the chat, guys.
So it
Hey, Kelsey.
Hey, Kelsey. But just it just kind of got me thinking about like cemeteries, where cemeteries were. Think about how many people have been on this land for years and years. And of course, not all the cemeteries are still going to be here.
Right.
That were there. Back in the day, they didn't make stones. Sometimes they, back in the Roman times, you were put on a pyre, or you were, basically cremated, put into a jar, put upside down in the earth, and that was it. Usually the vessel that they put you in was upside down. But if you think about all of the contact we get with the spirits, and you think, well, maybe it could be relatives, but it also could be people who this is their final resting place from years that we don't even know of, 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. They could be trying to communicate, but they, this is their final resting place, where we would have no idea.
Right.
You have to dig down pretty far to find them, because I think you get, I mean, I'm not sure how many inches of topsoil. I used to know how many inches of how far it goes down after so many years. But
It goes down in feet because I got feet.
ha
Well, that's what I got. That's what I got.
ha 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 ha
Yeah.
spirits ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got me thinking. But I did come across while I was looking for some monument cemetery stuff. Of course, stuff for Independence Hall is going to come up. Independence Hall is where they signed where they had the first Continental Congress. It wasn't always called Independence Hall; they just called it after that, after the fact. But that's where they had signed the Declaration of Independence. That's why I want to go. I just want to step foot there.
Yeah.
But throughout the years, it wasn't always just the meeting place for the Continental Congress, or at one point it was a bank. And there was a bank robbery, and two people had went in, took several $1,000s, or well, it may have been, I think they took $60,000, I think, and then just left. So they couldn't figure out how they got in. Well, it turns out that they had a new locksmith, and the locksmith had skipped town a couple days earlier. They found the locksmith. They found one of the robbers, got the money back from him. Well, the other one actually lived above the bank in the Independence Hall, and he died from yellow fever.
Oh, wow.
And a few years later, some tenants moved in to take care of the building, and they kept smelling this awful smell. They could not figure out where it was coming from. They thought maybe dead animal or something like that. They had police come in. They had all kinds of people come in, and they could never find it. And then, they came to find out that that guy's body had not been found for a very long time. That died from yellow fever. So could be, just residual smells are very common. Sometimes I still smell cigarette smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Mom has smelled the cherry pipe tobacco that Albert used to smoke, or it might have been Hubert.
Like that, yeah.
I'm not sure. It might have been Albert. I don't remember. But then a few years later, in 1974, the family that was taking care of the place, they woke up to men shouting, arguing back and forth, cigar smoke, cigarette smoke, all that kind of stuff. Didn't have the courage to go down there and find out what it was, because they lived upstairs. But they went down, couldn't find anything. Nothing was out of place. Nothing was missing or anything like that. But it was September 5th, 1974, 200 years to the day after the first Continental Congress met.
That's wild.
I was like, oh, please let me go. Oh, please.
Just to get those residual sounds.
I just want to have a conversation with some people. I just need some. Look, I got government.
You got government, yeah. You got government. So yeah, I mean, could you imagine being in a building where you can hear, to a certain degree, hear residual speaking about the Declaration of Independence or anything like that? And you can catch those things and be able to record that would be absolutely phenomenal. And that would be that'd be like a paranormal investigator's best happiness moment of their life.
I would have to be put away. I would just go crazy after that.
It'd be fun. It'd be interesting.
If I hear Thomas Jefferson arguing with Ben Franklin,
oh yeah,
I'm just gonna be the happiest person. I'll just go nuts.
And it's Mama got basement, but Mom got GAOL, which she says means jail. By the way. So
we looked that up. She got that, or somebody got that last time, and I looked it up, and it's an old English word for jail.
Wow.
Which that's where that other guy, the bank robber, he went to jail. The other one died of yellow fever.
Wow. We got the name Jacob and Costly. Anybody got any questions? What else you got? Is that pretty much it?
No, I just had I mean, I don't know how familiar anybody is with Fort Mifflin. There were a couple stories I came across with that. Just like little ghost stories. But I've seen a few paranormal investigators go into Fort Mifflin and get some pretty good evidence. But it was a fort built by the British. Once we declared our independence, it was taken over and used against the British, and is still ours to this day. But there was I believe he was a captain, might have been a corporal, I'm not really sure. But anyway, he killed his commanding officer so he could go, because he could leave, so he could take a break, go on leave, whatever. Well, he got caught, and he was put in the jail in the jail that they had at the fort, and he died in the jail.
Right.
But there are people that still see him. He was hanged for his crimes, and typical hanging, you had a black sack over your head.
Right.
And he was hanged, but people see him, can describe his uniform to a T.
Wow.
But they cannot see his face. They said it looks like there's something black over his face.
And like Bama said, we got the word old and English both tonight, so
there you go.
That has some stuff to do with what we're talking about. I got gently.
Oh, give me some old English. I'll be happy.
Yeah, there you go. More energy. And you got pain. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see when you have multiple people describe a person they've seen in detail. That tells you, that it may not be a bad haunt. It could just be a residual spirit, but still, that's confirmation that you look for. And definitely, they've described them to a T, more than one person.
I mean, think about how much energy was in that fort with, how many, battles were fought, things like that. A lot of people, when they were battling against the British, a lot of people died there. There was also there's been several accounts on different occasions, different people at different times would go into the office there and wanted to compliment the tour guide. He was very knowledgeable. His outfit was awesome. They loved his outfit, he was very knowledgeable, was told about stories that not really anything was on the tour or anything like that. He was really nice. It's just that nobody fit the description that worked there.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, why can't I have those?
Yeah, I've heard stories like that. People have had conversations with people, and they're like, "That person died years ago," or we don't know that person, or something. But yeah, people have had unique conversations with spirits. If you can get to that point where you can have some conversation with spirits, that's pretty dang remarkable, actually.
Maybe my dream.
You got bullet.
There would have been bullets flying.
Yeah, bullets flying.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just to think that they had such an attachment to that place where they still want to. I mean, they're giving tours to people, and they're enjoying their afterlife, as it were. And I mean, that's just what they want to do, and just bestow knowledge upon people. Like, over here this happened, over here this happened. Look, occupation. That was his job.
Bama got the word wanted.
Yeah. Sometimes they just do want to feel wanted. Maybe they didn't get enough of that in their life, and they wanted to
be wanted, or they were wanted for something they did.
Yeah.
Bama says it's amazing how people try to claim that's a massive hallucination. And I'm sure there's been those hallucination situations, but for people who are not having an hallucination, it's like Caitlin, my daughter, for instance. She can see things. She can see people. She can describe exactly what they're wearing and sometimes what they're saying. So that's not an hallucination. It's just a gift. And we all have different gifts. So that's a pretty strong one.
Yeah, that's only happened to me once. I saw a little child, couldn't be no more than 3 feet, just standing in the dining room, looking up. And that's all they were doing. I could see they had like sandy blonde hair. don't remember what they were. It was just so brief.
Yeah.
But if you I think a lot of times if you just kind of accept that, yes, that can happen, or open your mind to something that's not thought of as reality.
Right.
And some people just have a more heightened awareness than others.
Bam, I got that gift too. I just love to eat. That's a good gift to
That
have.
must be hereditary.
Yeah, we all just love it. We all just love it. Got proportion, you got occupation. So yeah, I mean, if you guys got any questions about any of the tonight's podcast, go ahead and ask.
Yeah, that's all I had.
That's all she's got. But I mean, it's. I would love to be able to investigate places like the Alamo, or places like that, or forts, or something that you can do to and I do as much as I can as far as military in these cemeteries. And sometimes I got a sergeant come through one time, but it's sometimes hard. It's sometimes hard um, to grasp what's going on. And then the thing is, like with the ghost tools and stuff, you don't know what spirit's talking to you when. You may be thinking it's one spirit. It could be 3 or 4 trying to chime in with words like bacon or, car or whatever they might say.
Yeah.
And you're just thrown off because you don't know what's going on.
And that's going back to the, how many people have been buried here.
Yeah.
All of them are talking at one time.
Yeah. And it's picking up residuals or whatever. And
yeah.
It happens. We've got district. That's another word. Suddenly, heart. But there is a fort near Old Fort that's
Davidson.
The Davidson. Okay. And I guess it's still open to the public.
The last time I looked, it was.
Okay. I would love to do an investigation. That'd be kind of nice if they would let me do that. That'd be cool. But and then here's the thing about Riverside Cemetery. It was a Civil War battleground too. 2 pieces of fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy. Oh, that sounds great, Bama. I would be eating that too.
That sounds good.
That's a good meal. I would be eating that right now.
Oh yeah, I like me some chicken.
Yeah, I love chicken.
Chicken's
good
chicken.
stuff. And then mashed potatoes and gravy. You can't go wrong with that. Oh, I love mashed potatoes and gravy.
I like mom's gravy.
Yeah, mom makes good gravy. Yeah.
Biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
If you're listening, Mom. Biscuits and gravy.
But yeah, I mean, so Riverside is part of the Civil War. The Civil War Cemetery, Newton Academy. I've not been there in a while. It's been a while since I've filmed in there, but I think the last time I was in there, you hadn't seen that video yet, but I had dogs running around in there, and I just didn't get a chance to do much. But that's a cool place. That's where the fidget spinner moved. That's where we get some unique activity. It's pretty, and it's a Revolutionary War. People are buried in there too, if I'm not mistaken. And so you're getting a unique military feel from that place.
Mom said, "I hear you guys."
Yeah.
I'm just gonna shout out my request now.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up. I might need a birthday meal.
Bama says biscuits and small sawmill gravy. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be real good. But I got Angel. You're still on yours not moving.
No, it looks like it might, but it's trying.
Moving a little bit, but it's not doing anything.
Now there was a stair. I got stair, like
stair.
Walking upstairs stair. Now there was a in Biltmore Village around there. If you look on the old Sanborn maps, because I do faithfully.
Yeah,
there was an old iron bridge there. On one side of the iron bridge, that is where the some of the soldiers were encamped when there were battles with the Native Americans.
Now, where was that at exactly?
It's about where Mose is at. Like
that's in the villages too.
Village.
Okay.
I can show you on the Sanborn map.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the that bridge that goes across where you turn right there where the where Long John Silver's is at, and then you go across the bridge and there's Mose, and there's the That's where the Iron Bridge was at.
Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, you go away from the train tracks and go
Mm.
across that bridge going like toward the hospital
Mm.
along the river. That's where they would have camped.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the fighting started in Iredell County, which is way like Greensboro
Oh yeah,
east.
that's good. Drive.
And went all the way here. Went down
Wow.
Swananoa River.
Wow. And I do get some interesting activity when I'm in the River Arts area. This last time I filmed there, I got the cat there, and the word mouse came through.
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
Then next time you go there, I need to give you the information. Next time you go there, try to shout out to our ancestor there.
Yeah.
See if he, because
Could
the
be,
doctor examined him, said he was all right. Went back to his sisters and dad.
Wasn't all right.
He was not. It was brain hemorrhaging was very hard to diagnose back in those days.
Yeah.
You just didn't have MRIs and X-ray and stuff like that. Especially not in the town that we lived in as far as medical advancements. Now, if you look on the sandboard maps, there's sanitariums and sanatoriums left and right.
Yeah, and they're all gone. I mean, there's no. I mean, there's something there.
Apartment buildings now,
apartments or whatever.
Which you're not going to get to investigate those, but I'd love to hear some stories.
Yeah.
Anybody had some of those stories in those apartments?
Right, and those would be kind of cool to check out too. But I do encourage you, if you're in an area where you can investigate something like military-wise, Civil War, something, please do it. I think it'd be worthwhile for you to check that out. And like she was saying, I mean, I'd love to go to Gettysburg. I'd love to go to, oh gosh, do some stuff up in Roanoke or
Cowpens would be nice too.
Yeah. Just places where
I'm more interested in Revolutionary War more so than Civil War. Give me the older history you give me, the happier I am.
Okay. But I mean, there's always things to investigate around here, and like I say, it's I've not hit every place, but I've hit quite a few, and it never ceases to amaze me what you get.
Oh yeah, and I mean there weren't very many forts around here, but there were also outposts, which were basically a mini fort. I mean, you had trading outposts, you had military outposts, things like that. And one of our ancestors built one of the first outposts that Asheville had over towards Inca.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, so don't just look for the big stuff.
Oh, yeah, look for all kinds of
because stuff. That's usually the first line of defense. An outpost can, that's where the scouts will go. That's where, the lookouts will be. And then they warn everybody else. Boy, man, when it red. Look at that.
Snowman said it had been to Gettysburg. I wish I could go sometime.
I would love to go to Gettysburg.
Civil War
just to pay my respects. I'd love to just go, even if it's just that.
Yeah. Just in general, to see what I can get. I love to. I'm trying to use trigger objects a little more than I used to, like flashlights or maybe a fidget spinner or a cat ball or something. I'm going to try to start using those more just to see if I can. I mean, they moved a fidget spinner before. I didn't know if we'd ever had one moved or not, but when it moved a few years ago, that's pretty wild. Andersonville,
Georgia got a lot of stuff. I mean, Sherman made sure of that. But
Savannah, Georgia would be another place I'd love to investigate.
I love Savannah, Georgia.
I'd love to go do that sometime.
Just when we went, we didn't have a very good time. But it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I haven't been there in years.
Got to see the Forrest Gump bench. But we didn't really do anything.
Somewhere down there, Fried Green Tomatoes was filmed.
Probably.
There was a restaurant or something down there that was filmed part of the movie.
Probably.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. It's been probably over 10, 12 years since I've been.
Oh, that's where okay.
Prisoner of War. Oh, that'd be interesting.
I didn't know that was there. I knew there were some, but I didn't know where they were at.
That would be a place to check out. I mean, anything like that would be really cool.
I mean, there's a lot of emotion that goes into that, around that. area.
It said thousands of Yankees starved to death. I bet.
Mm.
Yeah. God.
It was a
Uh,
rough time.
yeah.
I would love to go to
Torture. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Places like, I mean, I would love to see these places open up for investigations. And there's a lot of them that don't. There's a lot of places that won't. But
I'd love to go to Valley Forge.
yeah, that'd be nice.
Anything to do with George Washington, just take me. just take me there.
The White House. Where else? But anyway, yeah, those places are pretty cool to want to check out.
Mm. Yeah, I'd love to go to the Alamo.
At the war they hung.
Yeah.
And war crimes. Oh wow. Y'all, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they hung people in downtown Nashville. Not war, it was police, or back when I used to do hangings.
Mm.
Gallows are right about where the city hall is and all that stuff.
Yeah. And there was one in Marshall too.
Yeah.
There's a picture of the last. There's a picture of the last hanging in Marshall.
Mm. Wow. Smith and yeah. So, guys, got any questions or anything before we wrap it up tonight? Just let us know, or else we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here in a few minutes. Be back on Friday night to do a live investigation in here. Figure out what we're going to do. I think I want to. I might take one of the dolls and just single one of the dolls out, and we'll work on that. There's a huge monument. Sarah.
What was the name? Oh, okay. I need to look that up.
Yeah, look that up.
I have a curious nature.
Yes, she's a history person. She loves history. She'll check out about anything.
Okay, I'll look at it.
But I think that oh man, where was that at?
Over there, that place.
Yeah, that place. I was wondering where was that. Golly, there was a place. It's escaped my mind now.
What happened there?
It might have been the place you're talking about at Marshall or something like that.
There's a lot of places in Marshall that I'd like. There, apparently, there was a dispensary, and if you don't know what a dispensary is, it's basically the ABC store.
Yep.
And they used to call them dispensaries back then.
You'd be amazed how many young people do not know what a dispensary is. A lot of younger people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a forgotten language. Nobody talks elegantly.
No,
I mean, reading. Oh, I mean,
store.
I stay on newspapers.com, and the way people used to speak and the way people used to tell stories is just spectacular. But apparently, it was dubbed the Satan's battleground because apparently a lot of people got killed there. Around there was a lot of drinking. Where there's drinking, there's fights. Where there's fights, where there's killing.
Yeah, bam, over yonder.
Yeah, I was at that place over yonder. Over there.
It's was it? What's the name of the house? It's down in
Stackhouse.
Yes, Stackhouse.
Mm.
Wasn't that something to do with the war too?
I believe it was owned by somebody that was involved. I'll have to acquaint myself with that place.
State store.
State Stone. State store. State store. State store.
They call it a state store, like dispensaries and stuff. Sarah and everybody.
Yeah, if you look up just Marshall and then dispensary, you get all kinds of fun stuff.
I bet you do. You said it was the one you're talking about where there's a lot of deaths that happened. That sounds like it.
It was a lot.
But I think the Stackhouse, it seemed like it has something to do with the Civil War.
There was something.
That'd be a place I would like to investigate too. And there's another house that's right. I don't know. Brandon and my son-in-law was telling me about it, and we drove by there one time. Apparently, there's been a lot of deaths at this house. And people move out just like unexpectedly just go. and it's a big white house. I can't think of the name of it or where it's at exactly, but he said people were murders have happened in there, and people just move out suddenly, and those things would be kind of interesting. Although I don't know how demonic it'd be in there, so it might be a little hard to deal with. But
Yeah.
so you definitely got to take your protection with you. Drafts and shot.
Just go in there Bible first.
Yeah. Hold the Bible out and go on.
Just charge in Bible first.
Ooh, you got hay, got the word. I got hay twice. So
I got table.
Table.
I'm at the table.
Table spirits.
But there was another place that I'd love to go. Now that I've read about Fort Mifflin, I would like to go to Fort Mifflin.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that trifecta where you've got the Independence Hall, Eastern State Penitentiary, and Fort Mifflin.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how I want to go to Eastern State Penitentiary.
I would. I'd definitely like to check that out.
I would try it.
Yeah.
I'd try anything.
I've seen some investigators going there, and I would definitely like to try that place out for sure.
Fort Mifflin has a lot of tragedy associated with it. A lot of stories.
Yeah, that's true, Bama. Yeah. You got to have a lot of faith. Got to have a lot of prayers. Pray up before you go in.
Yep.
Take your protection. God is the best protection you can take anywhere. Again, liquor store. Yeah.
I got Southern.
That's great.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Charleston is a good place to investigate.
Charleston would be a real neat place to investigate.
Fun. I got a what I believe is an apparition photograph. Still gotta find that picture. There where they were talking about the lady. She had like a little little stop in place. And she'd invite the people in and they would never be seen again. And there's a lot of stories like you'd be surprised how many, like, it's basically like, like a tavern, but like, it was just a single house and like, come on in for some food and then, here's where you die.
Yeah.
But, so they finally caught up with her and tried to hang her. Well, she got dressed in her wedding gown thinking that somebody would offer their hand in marriage and that way it would get her off the hanging block. But didn't work. But I took tons of pictures while the guy was telling the story, and it was right in front of us, like the little courtyard thing where they had the gallows. And I just so happened I took a picture, and in the reflection of the window, and I took a couple of pictures before and after because I like when I take pictures, I take multiples.
Yeah,
at least 3 or 4 in case something does happen. You've got ones. Well, a second before, here's what happened. Or some phones have what's called a burst shot.
Yeah, you take a bunch at one
time.
It
takes like rapid pictures in succession. But it's in the reflection is what looks like a woman in a wedding gown.
Wow. Some men say they had an ancestor born in Philadelphia in 1776.
Oh, we do have an ancestor that was a financial advisor to George Washington.
Yes, you told me.
He secured the funds from the Continental Army to the French.
There's speaking now, it's a little more recent, but than George Washington, but in Main Street in Waynesville, there's a cemetery, and a guy's buried there that was a chauffeur for John F. Kennedy, I believe. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've been to that cemetery. Got Steele, Burt, in January. I'm
always looking for Thomas.
yeah, we're always looking for like.
I got
Thomas,
Lucy,
Michael, Luca could come through anytime.
At least it's not. I got Lucy, not Luca, but at least it's not Lucy Fur.
Yeah, Lucy Fur. Hello, Lucy. But yeah, so play. I mean. Rob, Michigander man, does a lot of videos with famous people in Michigan. Anything, I think he's had some, of course, actors and actresses and developers and things like that. So yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff on some of his things. Lucy, yeah, that's right. Bama's got.
Oh, that's right. I read about that.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, Hey, I got limp. You got pulled. Don't pull spirits. Don't do anything.
I did find out that if you look at old cemeteries,
Mhm.
the really old cemeteries, where a time when they were buried, where um, witches and vampires
Mhm.
were not well thought of, but believed to be everywhere,
Right.
and also body snatchers.
Oh,
There are
okay.
more cases of body snatchers than you'd think,
Oh, wow.
because they weren't always able to get cadavers.
Oh.
And it was a very lucrative business. And if you could sell, I mean, there was a lot of people who would sell the bodies, go and take the bodies out of the grave, sell them to science, and get. I mean, there were people that got rich off of this. But so that's where, I mean, if you look at some of these old graves, you'll find some of them where they'll have the bell on top.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
That's if they were pronounced dead, but they weren't really dead,
They
and they
rang the
can
bell.
bring themselves out of it.
That would have been wild.
Oh, that would be my luck. But there's also ones with steel cages around.
Yeah.
There's steel cages attached to the um, coffin,
Mhm.
to the casket, and then the dirt poured in on it, so
Mhm.
they couldn't get to it.
Yeah, they couldn't take the bodies out. And some people think that those cages almost are like to hold vampires and stuff, but it's not. It's actually to hold
It's
those
actually, those are
bodies
actually
in
for the
there.
body snatchers. Now
Yeah.
the vampires and stuff were a different story.
Mhm.
This a lot of the stories where they would you have to leave them for a while, do watch over them, and then if something in case they move or something comes for them, you can stab them in the heart. Or I mean, there were so many vampire killing kits sold. Can you imagine if it was like the time of social media and
Oh my
online
God.
ordering, how many vampire kits?
eBay be blown. It probably are. You can probably look it up and find one.
I mean,
Always
there
thought.
were so many.
Always thought it was to keep these. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
it
that's what
is.
it was.
Yep.
Sure was, man.
It was. There's. I mean, that's why you see like the bars on the mausoleums and the really old ones.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It was. I've heard so many stories of where bodies were snatched, and I mean, it was just hundreds of people.
And,
It was an epidemic.
If they wanted to make money, that's the way to do it, I guess.
And they made really good money.
Yeah.
And especially if you look up stories in Europe, especially around Edinburgh. There's plenty there. Edinburgh has more stories of morbid happenings than anything I've ever seen.
Snowman says Burke and Hare are famous for stealing bodies.
I think I've heard those names.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a couple of people that were really famous in, I believe it was Edinburgh, but it may have been in another town in Europe. Wow. But I listened to a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stories.
Well, and I mean, people would do stuff. I mean, they would steal railroad ties. They would do, what was the other? I mean, just things like that would make money. They would steal stuff.
I read about one guy that would he had a pet frog. He would take the frog, put the frog in a person's cellar. The frog would be down there making a ruckus, knocking over things, jumping around, or whatever. Well, the guy would come up and say that the guy was haunted. Ask for money to exorcise the demons.
Oh my God.
For lack of better words. Charge him about $50. Take the money, go down there and get his frog, and go home. They finally arrested him.
Side of the frog.
Yep. Down the stair in the house of Burke and Hare. Burke's the butcher, Hare's the thief, Knock's the man who buys the beef. Oh, I love that.
Oh, wow.
It could.
You could, Bama.
Restful, unrestful spirits. I mean, I would be mad.
Yeah.
I'd be mad.
And I've mentioned this before. Like Helensbridge gets.
Burke and Hare.
They've write that down. where Helensbridge has been like graffitied and stuff. You can piss the spirits off by doing certain things like that. Jump rope song was what that was. But yeah, you can piss the spirits off. You disturb their resting place, and you can really cause a problem sometimes.
That's why I knew there had to be stories of spirits seen wandering around looking for their old resting place. There had
Yeah.
to been after I heard the story that 20,000 people were put into a mass grave from where they had been laid to rest. I knew there had to be.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing. I mean, it's like if you disturb something or bother something, that's why activity picks up when people start constructing on houses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can do that, you know, even here, when we put the shed out here, you could tell at first it was activity was like really strong because we added something that wasn't here before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've, done some floor work over the summer that increased some stuff. Didn't last extremely long, but
Where would they haunt the grave or the place where they? I'm of the belief that they would probably, once they are a spirit, they can go. They are free to move.
yeah, but I think they would probably haunt the place or be looking for their original place of rest.
I'd haunt the person who took me.
Yeah, if you could find out who that was.
I would keep him up at night. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
I mean, rattling chains and all the works.
Yeah, it's. I mean, in the investigations I've done, I found that, golly, I mean, it's any kind of anything that you move around or try to destroy or mess up, the activity always picks up.
Yeah, if somebody was to, I mean, I understand that progress does happen. It's a fact of life. Or family moves or there's another grave site erected and they want all their family to be together. That some of our family is in that category. I can understand that. And I mean, usually I think it would, if it's family, I mean, if it was family doing that, I would be okay with it if somebody did that with me.
Yeah.
But if somebody's, taking me out of my resting place and selling me to science just so they can make a quick buck, I would haunt the daylights out of them.
Well, and see, when you move stuff around progress is one thing, but if people going in intentionally to destroy things, that's different.
Yes.
Imagine a ticked off spirit haunting another spirit. That could happen.
I never thought about that.
I believe it does. Because we've had problems with Thomas in the past until, probably months ago when it was like we could never get him to tell us how he died. It was like he'd always get cut off. So it's like another spirit was like telling him, don't say a word.
And we always get him. He's always saying, what?
Yeah, what?
Like
he's not sure.
Like someone's like someone's getting his attention away from us. And we talk to him and then he goes, what?
Yeah, what?
And usually, and sometimes I'll get dad too. He'll say dad. But if I'm not mistaken, the information that I have collected, I just got collection.
Yeah, he got collection.
He is related to us. And he died very young.
Yeah.
But I don't know who would be getting his attention away from us, and I don't know if it's somebody that is related to us or somebody that is also here that just doesn't either like us or doesn't want him to communicate with us. I don't know. I hear him all the time. And there's sometimes where it's just really quiet over there. And then sometimes, like Katie will hear running through the house when there's nobody running through the house. He touches me, like my shoulder. He usually touches my shoulder if I'm turned around, like if I'm facing the wall.
Right.
And he'll touch my shoulder or my knee if I'm laying on my back. Just trying to like get my attention, like, hey, wake up, let's play. Kind of thing. Oh, got haunting.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah,
I know he's still there, and then there's some times where I feel he's not there.
Well, I think it takes a lot of energy for him or any spirit, but
Katie, I agree with Katie where she's, I believe they come and go.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was a theory that I read about in newspapers.com, not sponsored. I would love to be. If anybody on newspapers.com would like me to do something for them, I'd be glad to. But there was a belief that if they could communicate with spirits well enough, then basically they were going to make the lives of the living a lot easier. They would be, they were going to use them for government use, basically, course.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't have to send messages via the Pony Express to, you know, your constituents or whatever. They could just, you know, cross whatever plane they're on and send the message themselves.
Uh-huh.
Or, you know, it was just going to be such a great communication with the spirits that, you know, they could go from, you know, here to Italy in a matter of a half a second, like the speed of light. It was
Right.
that was the theory, that was speed of light, and they could just travel wherever they wanted. So I mean, I can agree with that, where I mean, you're believed to be energy. I mean, the main theory is it's energy. Why wouldn't you be able to?
Oh yeah, you can.
You know, you can manipulate electronic devices.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you just go into the device? You know, I mean, it's a theory.
My theory is to go through portals. Portals,
yeah, I mean,
go in and out. It's like
yeah,
it's like Mario Brothers. You pop in and out and wherever you want. In Tampa, they built a housing project for white people, graves of black people. This happened in the 1950s. I'm sure that has some activity. Yeah, Bama. Yeah, we've had the mirror's weird in here. It's got a lot of stuff going on with that. Jane don't like it. If Jane's as haunted as she is, doesn't like it, there's a problem.
Good little Jane. She's such a good little girl.
But anyway, oh God.
I think she's cute. She just looks done with everything.
She's done with everything.
The look on her face is like, what?
Yeah, she's done with everything. She's just hanging out now at this point, just having a good time doing whatever she can do.
She just doesn't care about anything. Like, I'm here. What do you want?
You've added more stuff in here. Thank you very much.
Cute little Robert in his little Navy outfit.
Yeah.
Cute.
Okay, guys. So I guess we're going to get ready to shut it down. That's pretty much all we have for tonight. Be back Friday night. I'll do an investigation. We'll pick one of the dolls or something and work on that and see if we get a spirit to speak with us or whatever. We'll find out then. But I hope everyone's had a good night. We do appreciate everybody's participation tonight.
Yes, thank you for humoring me.
Yes, it's been fun and enjoyable and educational from your all's perspective as well. Things that you've told us about. So we do appreciate that. So we're going to go tonight, guys. I love you all. We'll see you Friday night. And we'll say good night.
Bye.
Bye.